no one is watching, an electron behaves like a wave. But when people watch, it behaves like a particle. Electrons, like people, behave differently when they're observed. And that's all I'm going to say about electrons, because I can just imagine your looks of frustration, because I can sense the response to that. I hated my chemistry class. I'm so bad at physics. I'm so glad I never have to take a science class again. Right? I do wonder, though, if you had really learned science, if your classes were set up in a way that allowed you to learn, would you still hate it? I think our current academic culture makes us terrified of making mistakes. I know I am, but to get to a point where I understand something, I have to do a bunch of practice and make a bunch of mistakes. So I'm trying to get over this fear of mine so I can get to a place where I can actually learn. There's this quote from the novel East of Eden that I've been thinking about a lot these past few months. It goes, "Now that you don't have to be perfect, you can be good." And I've been thinking about it a lot because it summarizes this mindset shift that I really want to have. I know that I won't ever be perfect and I won't ever understand anything perfectly, but maybe if I take off that pressure, I can take the first step toward learning and doing something new. My first quarter of college, I took a physics class, and I had never taken AP physics, so all of the concepts were brand new to me. And I remember sitting in my dorm common room doing practice problem after practice problem after practice problem and getting every single one of them wrong and sitting there and just sobbing. And I know I can be a little bit dramatic, but at the time, not only was I adjusting to college and to this new type of class, but I was going through this really messy learning process, just completely unsupported. And the thing was, at the time, I didn't even think to look for support. I just felt stupid. Since then, I've taken more classes. I've even become a tutor. And I meet students who say, "Oh, I'm so bad at this," or "You're a chemistry major, so you're just naturally good at it." And I know they mean well, but they say this as if I was born knowing what hybridization is, as if I didn't just get a 0 out of 40 on a chemistry quiz earlier this quarter. And so they're so sweet and they're so kind, but I wish I knew how to communicate this doubt and imposter syndrome that I've felt and still feel. I mean, I can totally answer your question during a tutoring session, but I also recently asked a friend how many numbers were in the alphabet. So I just wanted to share some insight about how I started enjoying the process of learning. And through that process, I was able to find so much confidence and fulfillment. But before I get into some action items, I just want to say this plainly. Being naturally good at something is not a prerequisite for pursuing it. The first step in being good at something is actually realizing that you have to suck at it first. And this applies to everything. I mentioned chemistry because that's my major, but that's how it was when I tried to bake cookies without a recipe. They were honestly barely edible. It was the same way when I tried to learn how to play guitar. I had to suck and I had to practice a lot before I actually started improving. Anyway, while writing this speech, I Googled the question, how to enjoy learning. And here are some answers. Listen to good music. Turn it into a game. There's number 5, try role play. And I mean, do whatever works for you. But these tips, as you can see, are about having a better time studying. They'll help you get information into your brain. But if we have a chance to examine the process of learning, a chance to be vulnerable and to grow as students, I think we should take it. And I wish I had an easy answer, something you can do overnight to magically enjoy school and to get so much more out of your classes. But the truth is I had to sit in the discomfort of knowing that I didn't know anything before I started having fun. So I wanted to share some of the things that I did that helped me enjoy learning, even when I didn't feel smart. I mean, we're all in school anyway. I want us to get the most out of this experience. So to enjoy learning, we have to allow ourselves to be bad at it first. But how do you learn to be bad? Thankfully, I am an expert at this kind of thing, and I'd just like to share some tips and tricks. A great place to start is to learn how to ask a stupid question. And you might be thinking right now, There's no such thing as a stupid question. I know. But a lot of the time when I feel confused about something, I feel like the questions popping up in my mind are stupid. So, that sucks, but I guarantee that there's someone out there that has an answer that will make the potential discomfort or embarrassment of asking completely worth it. Last quarter, I took a quantum chemistry class. And around halfway through the quarter, after a lecture about quantum tunneling, I went to office hours. And everyone was having these really interesting discussions about the homework and the practice problems. And I came to office hours because I had this question that I just couldn't seem to answer. What is energy? And I held off on asking my professor for so long. I asked my friends and I asked my fellow tutors, and none of us could come up with an answer that made any sense. And I did think this was a stupid question. I mean, I think they taught me what energy was in middle school. So why didn't I already get it? Then I asked my professor, and you know what he said? He said, that's a good question, and it actually has a complicated answer. I'm still putting into words how validating that experience was for me. I spent days overthinking something that was a completely valid thing to be confused about. What I'm trying to say is, if you have a question about something, you deserve a satisfying answer. You deserve clarity, and you deserve this opportunity to learn. Because when you take a chance and you ask the stupid question, you might learn it's not such a stupid question after all. Okay, you gain the courage to ask questions, then what? You need to start giving stupid answers. Because here's the thing. If you answer a question, you're either right or you're wrong. And if you're right, that's amazing. It means you've learned enough to know what you're talking about. And if you're wrong, you've just unlocked the chance to learn something new. And that sounds kind of cheesy, because it is. And I'm not going to lie, I hate doing this. I hate it so much. But every time I contribute to a discussion or I raise my hand to give an answer, no matter how uncomfortable I feel, I'm engaging. Even if I'm forcing myself to do it, I'm still actively thinking about what's going on. And that's the only way to learn, to get my hands dirty in the metaphorical sandbox of new information. You might also hate participation, but trust me, working through that discomfort seriously pays off. You'll either get the validation of your correct answer, or you get to laugh it off if you make a mistake. And this isn't something you necessarily need to do in a classroom setting. It can be a conversation with friends or anywhere else, as long as you're consciously putting your ideas out into the world and letting yourself make mistakes as you learn. So, all right, you're asking questions as they come up. You're answering questions even if you're not completely sure of the answer, and that's how you enjoy learning. But if I'm being honest, asking these questions, giving these answers, putting your ideas out there feels like waving a giant flag that says, hey, I don't know anything. And being this vulnerable while learning sucks. What sucks even more is knowing that I have to endure this uncomfortable experience if I want to learn anything. But hey, we're getting good at being bad. Oh my God. The third thing we need to do is forgive ourselves. I still feel a pang of disappointment every time I get something wrong or every time I answer a question with I don't know. But I'm learning that I don't know is one of the most exciting things there is. I was just talking about how empowering it can be to answer questions. And I want to say that admitting to not knowing something is not the same thing as admitting defeat. I don't know is an opportunity to learn presenting itself. It isn't shameful. It's exciting. It's not I don't know, but rather I don't know yet. So I'm just talking about being vulnerable, but if I'm being honest, doing that over and over again is a lot of work. It can bring up a lot of emotions that we might not want to feel. So I just want to take a moment to say that I'm proud of you for everything you've learned so far. I'm proud of you for putting yourself out there. It's okay to not know everything or to make mistakes. And it's all right if that doesn't feel okay yet. I just think that our lives would be a little more interesting if we leaned into being stupid sometimes. If we leaned into asking questions, even if we think the answer might be obvious to some people, it's just not obvious to us. If we learn to live alongside the fear of being wrong, if we opened ourselves up to making mistakes, if we took that rejection, I think that we can afford to be a little more curious, even if it means being a little uncomfortable. Because at the end of the day, we win. We get the satisfaction that comes with this knowledge. We get more confident. And I know it sounds silly, but I love being stupid. I love asking questions. I love digging deeper. I love making connections, and I love learning. And if that means that other people think I'm stupid, so be it. Anyway, that's what I've learned about learning. But before I go, I have a challenge for you. I challenge you to ask one stupid question. It can be anything you want to get off your chest, anything that's been on your mind. And then once you do that, I challenge you to give one stupid answer. Make a mistake. If you don't want to talk in class, maybe while you're having a conversation with friends. It can be in an internet forum, whatever, wherever. Even if you're only 80% or 20% sure, just give an answer. Put your idea out there. Be wrong. Laugh it off. Learn from it. Because once you embrace being stupid, you can finally start learning. We'll ask stupid questions. We'll give stupid answers. We'll be kind to ourselves as we go through this messy process of learning. And as for what we'll do next, I don't know yet. Thank you.